Greetings, this is Rabbi Aaron Box from Temple Beth Shalom in Ocala, Florida, back once again for my weekly podcast. This morning I attended the funeral of a beloved clergy member of this community, um, Father Michael O'Keefe, who was a priest for 22 and a half years at Blessed Trinity Catholic Church here in Ocala. This was, he served 55 years as a priest, but the last 22 and a half years as a quote unquote retired priest, where he celebrated Mass at 16 nearby assisted living facilities, as well as working at the school and the church here in Ocala. I did not know Father Mike. I was contacted last week by Herb Katz, a member of our congregation, who had mentioned to me that Father Mike had been pretty active in the interfaith community here in Ocala, and that he had attended High Holy Day services, Yom Kippur services specifically, at Temple Beth Shalom many times in the past. So I found it to be my responsibility as a clergy member, as a rabbi here at the temple, to attend this funeral and support this community. And there were a lot of people there. I can't even take a guess, but several hundred or more, potentially. The entire sanctuary pretty much was filled up below, and then there were seating above, and there were three bishops there. The retired bishop from Savannah, the Savannah, Georgia Diocese, the current bishop from the Savannah Diocese, as well as the current Orlando Diocese bishop. And of course, as you can imagine, there were 15 or 20 other priests from the area that were there in attendance. This is not my first Catholic funeral. This was certainly not my first funeral of a fellow clergy member. But this was the first funeral that I attended of someone that I had never met, in a clergy person, I mean. And there were there was a tremendous outpouring of communal support for this congregation, as well as for the family of Father Mike. He was 92 years old, so he lived a very long and very dedicated life to his parish, to the many parishes he served. He was a true spiritually driven, religiously driven human being, and the stories they told about him was really illustrated this. At one point in the service, I looked over to Herb and I said something about, I really wish I had had the opportunity to know him, to at least have met him once, because he sounded like a truly wonderful and amazing human being, and really what we are looking for, what the world is looking for, are leaders like Father Mike. To quote Father Sheedy, Pat Sheedy, who is one of the current ministers still at Blessed Trinity Catholic Church, and worked with Father Michael many years. Quote, he loved the priesthood. He loved dispensing God's mercy. He had thousands of friends who looked up to him as their spiritual father. End quote. He wasn't a role model. He was an example as to the kind of person that we all need to love and to be loved. And, being a clergy person is not exactly, it's not an easy job. It's not necessarily a hard job, although there are long hours and parts of it are very challenging. But I believe it's the challenging parts of being a clergy person that really allow us to connect with people in a much deeper and in a much more spiritual way. And from what I heard about Father Mike, this was one way in which he really excelled as a priest. Um, a very humble way about him. And humility is not a trait that is easily attainable. It's certainly not one that's teachable. A person has to be born with humility, has to be able to act with humility, and Father Mike certainly did. Um, so I'm very blessed that I was able to be there for his service. I send my condolences to the Blessed Trinity Catholic Church and to their entire congregational community. And although his physical body is no longer here, his spirit is certainly with that congregation and with all of us who really do want to make this world a better place, to live by example, to love and to be loved, as I said a few moments ago. And really, that's what this podcast is about today. It's about what it means to be to love others and to be loved by others. Sometimes it's really difficult to be loved by others. Sometimes it's hard for people to find reasons to love others. What I mean by that is, while it may be easy to love someone, it's not always easy to be loved by someone. And that is what we attain. That's what we really want to happen in life. And so the way that we do this is we go out and we treat each other with love and kindness and support. And we act towards others how we would want others to act toward us. And then when we love, we're showing by example how we want to be loved. And I think that's it. That's the way that we live. That's the right and proper way to live our lives, is to love first and then use that example to accept the love back from others. And it's a circle. You love, you're loved, you love again, you're loved again, and so on and so forth. So may Father Mike rest in peace. May his soul enter into the eternal kingdom of heaven. And may each of us learn from Father Mike's example by seeing the way that his community came out to support and love him as an example of how he loved them. They loved him as he loved them. See you guys next week. Hope you have a good rest of your week.